And to put it in a kind of a normal context where it's like a club.
Word got out fairly quickly.
It really got me inspired to do this historical project, to do this writing.
I want them leaving here better educated about music than when they came, and certainly about jazz. Steve, who at that time was working for the summer school in arts and sciences as a dean, wanted some kind of music or entertainment for the students who were on campus in the summer.
We asked around and had some friends who were jazz musicians just join us and to play some music for these students.
So we had a very successful, what we thought was a successful summer evenings of, once a week of entertainment and light music and for people to come to on campus.
And Jim McLeod came to us and said, let's do it again for the next group of freshmen. And we had, as I recall, 2 or 3 different groups come in that summer. We did it again, and it got better and better each time.
Steve and I were leaving Holmes Lounge after the final one. It was August, and it was over. And we were lamenting as we walked across the quadrangle to Brookings that we couldn't keep this going. It was a little bit of a sad walk. And as we got to the arch of Brookings, the late Dean McLeod came down the steps and he asked us, "What are you two doing out here this hour or something?" And so we told him our story, and he said, "You have to keep this going."
And I turned to him and said something like, "Sounds great, help me out here, not sure where to go, not sure we have the money to do it, not sure we have the staff to do it." And Jim, in his own quiet, persuasive way, said, "We'll find a way to make it happen."
So during that period of time, Ben, I think, pretty much took upon himself to try to organize what would become Jazz at Holmes.
I and a couple other students, Sue Taylor from music, Steve Ehrlich, Dean in University College, we got together and brainstormed each semester. Can we do this again? Can we come up with the resources? Do we think audiences will come?
The series, I think, was initially designed sort of internally to really just provide an alternative musical venue for students here who were largely interested in kind of the rock scene.
The thrust of my energy for it came from the fact that I want them leaving here better educated about music than when they came, and certainly about jazz.
So we just sort of divided up the tasks, and as it so happened, I knew a lot of the jazz musicians in town from my own work as a student musician.
We knew that we were in a city with a great many wonderful jazz musicians, and why not try to get them to come out here and play?
Word got out fairly quickly that this was a very attractive and inexpensive jazz program, and something that the greater community should take advantage of.
But it really was formed for students to have this cultural enrichment and to have jazz and not only classical music on campus. And to put it in a kind of a normal context where it's like a club, not quite a formal concert.
It didn't take very long where probably a quarter to a third of the people who started attending were actually from the community. And that started really within the first couple of years of the program.
I forget what it actually paid, but any of us who played on it did so just to get it off the ground. Then Ben graduated and then went to graduate school, and then coincidentally came back to St. Louis and is now a professor at St. Louis University.
And I got to know a lot of musicians in town, partly through the Holmes Jazz series. And a lot of these were people who had been around for decades, people who've seen a lot of jazz history in a city like St. Louis and elsewhere. And so I took on a project that examined the history of a local urban arts collective with a strong jazz component called the Black Artists Group, or BAG, which had worked in the city in the late 60s and early 70s. And so many of the musicians who we booked at the Holmes series, they knew those musicians back when they were in St. Louis. And so just having those contacts, being able to talk to people of a different generation who'd lived through so many changes, really got me inspired to do this historical project, to do this writing.
I think around 500 students every semester take some class in the music department, whether that's private lessons on an instrument or an academic class in music theory. So there's room for people from a variety of backgrounds and with a variety of interests to get involved.
They can come learn about jazz in a very comfortable drop-in, drop-out way, and to me that's great.
But it keeps it formal enough that students know they should take the music seriously. That's one of my my sort of behind the scenes goals is to teach the students that this music is something that you can or should listen to, particularly if you're studying it.
So I think that's something that is a real benefit of the music program at WashU, is that ideally you wind up with students who know different things, teaching those things to each other in the course of the semester.
And every year of this program, there has always been one or two very, very active students who have really done the lion's share of the work.
I walk in with confidence to know that there are people, and mainly students in there, enjoying the jazz. And that's so rewarding for those of us who give our time. This is our service to the Washington University community.